Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Some of us are not used to the traffic situation in Accra, but I must say that I am happy to be present with you this evening to share my thoughts and experiences with you in my chosen profession as a judge. I will be sharing with you how my faith as a Seventh-day Adventist professional Christian, or Christian professional, has influenced and continues to influence my work as a judge. What I mean by my faith influencing me is that I believe in the seven-day, that is the Seventh-day Adventist church values. And I have consciously determined and decided to live by them in my profession. There is no value in any profession that does not adhere to Christian values. I must say that one will have no satisfaction without Christ. And as a judge, I have resolved and allowed my Christian values and principles to guide and permeate my very thoughts and deeds. So for my discourse tonight, I will be dwelling on integrity. As I was kindly introduced by the beautiful lady, my name is Dorinda Smith Arthur. I'm a circuit court judge. I was sworn in as a district court magistrate about 9 years and some few months ago. And my profession demands that I sit in the courtroom and I have to adjudicate, uncover, resolve legal conflicts in accordance with law. I am expected, and it is required of me to be impartial and fair to all persons without fear or favor. And I have to also conduct my education process in an effective and efficient manner. Now, this makes the work of a judge not only intellectually demanding, but it's also physically and emotionally draining. As a woman, I'm confronted with multiple roles. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt, I'm a mother, and a wife. And I'm required to make time to play these distinct roles without excuses. Moreover, as a judge, I owe a duty to the state to do justice to all manner of persons who appear before me, regardless of their age, of their religion, their social standing, and their political affiliations. Consequently, my life as a judge is more reserved because I'm ethically encouraged not to socialize much due to conflict of interest issues and also due to the demand to be seen to be independent. So if you see even the way I walk reservedly. My judicial duty, in fact, takes precedence over all other activities. But beyond this, I am also a very proud Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and my faith must impact what I do. As Christ admonishes in Matthew 5, verse 16, that in the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. We are all children of God, and whatever we do has to glorify Him or otherwise. So the word integrity is, let's define the word integrity. What is it? It stems from the Latin word integritas. Integritas, meaning intact, wholesome, complete, one. While acknowledging that several perspectives of integrity exist, it is mostly described as an undivided and unbroken completeness, or a state of being complete or whole. And when it is used to describe a person, it refers to the concept of living by one's values and principles. In this sense, completeness is a comprehensive framework of beliefs, moral principles, ethics, standards, and which must guide every decision and action. Now, it means that others can rely on you to act consistently and honestly. And this consistently and honestly that you are acting has to be in accordance with the moral principles, the ethics, the standard that I mentioned as a comprehensive framework. Now, to live with integrity requires us to have a clear understanding of what we want to achieve and what we hold most important, and to maintain harmony between these objectives and values and our decisions and actions. This understanding of integrity as consistently and morality can then be that integrity is in fact not a value. It is more or much more than a value. Integrity is in fact a virtue. In essence, integrity makes values meaningful. It is that piece of a puzzle that gives meaning to one's values. Now, let us take a look at the judiciary in Ghana. We all remember several reports suggest that the Ghana's judiciary is plagued with corruption, a practice that continues to undermine the integrity of the judiciary. This has, to some extent, eroded public confidence in the judiciary. We may deny it as many times as we can, but public perception regarding the integrity of Ghana's judiciary does not inspire confidence. There are those who still believe that justice has been and continues to be sacrificed on the altar of corruption. Whether these claims are realities or mere perception, Anas investigative piece on judicial corruption in 2015 provided evidence on both administrative and judicial corruption. The investigative piece implicated 180 judicial service staffs. What I mean by judicial service staffs are the registrars, the clerks, accountants, the workers in the judicial service, excluding magistrates and judges. Nevertheless, 34 magistrates and judges were also implicated. In fact, 22 magistrates and judges were suspended, while 12 High Court justices were investigated. From the expose, it was clear that some judges and magistrates compromised their integrity by allowing themselves to be approached by people who influence them through favors of different kinds and magnitude. What do? They open their doors to such persons and they have extra communications with them. They allow themselves to be influenced, coerced, and they were lured to receive and accept bribes, which influenced their judgments. While acknowledging that there may be one or two bad ones within our rank, there are still good men and women of integrity within the judiciary. Now, let me tell you some few things that we listen to every day, that we hear. I'm coming from the central region, so most of my examples will be from the central region of Ghana. A 34-year-old man poured acid on his wife at Ewutu Bojiase in the Ewutu Senior West District, which resulted in her blindness. Please, I am also coming from a gender-based crime court, so most of the cases, even though I do other criminal and civil cases, most of my examples will be from that. And within the same jurisdiction, a man killed his wife simply because the wife complained bitterly about his unprotected sexual encounters with his partners. And you may have heard the story of a 37-year-old father who attempted to sell his 2-year-old child for only 20,000 Ghana cedis at Aguna Swedro. And you may have equally read also about the 65-year-old grandfather who defiled his 7-year-old grandchild. We hear a lot of gun raping and gun defilement, and one of such recently came from Edumfa, a village near Edumfa, where a 7-year-old girl was defiled, gun defilement, and it caused her to be paralyzed. What about the robbery cases? We hear of some resulting in deaths and fatal injuries. These and many other social ills plague our society. People steal with impunity, and many of them are young offenders. And can you believe that some of these perpetrators or accused persons that are listed in the cases I just illustrated do attend churches and are church members, and they are, in fact, in good and regular standing? Can you believe that? And some of them are Seventh-day Adventists. Now, when they are faced with such predicaments, what do? They resort to meeting their pastors and elders and other church members who they think may have a connection or may be closer to a judge who is also maybe a fellow church member, or who may live in their neighborhood, or who may come from the same village as theirs. Now, let me come home to you. You may have a brother or a son who is 22 years old at a university. That child may go for a girlfriend of age 15 years. They will have sexual intercourse, and when the parents of the lady gets to know of it, reports the matter to the police. Now, if the case comes to court, and this 22-year-old university student is convicted, the minimum sentence per law that the judge can give to this 22-year-old university student is 7 years, and the maximum is 25 years. So you may understand why some people try to go behind the scenes to see judges for some judgments to be in their favor. However, the fact still remains that any attempt to allow any person to have any sort of interaction outside the courtroom with a judge involving a pending case before her is ethically and morally wrong. I try to temper justice with mercy most of the time, and I try to help people. Sometimes I extend compassion, and I'm so magnanimous when it comes to young offenders. But personally, I do not allow anybody to see me. When I say anybody, I mean exactly so, including pastors and all. In my courtroom, you will notice a bold inscription posted at every corner, and it says, "This court does not accept or take bribes. Justice is not for sale." So the staffs I work with, they know my principles clearly, and they try, I know, to adhere to them. When I was posted to my current station, I took the time to train all my staffs, including the prosecutors, with the consent of the regional commander at that time and my supervising high court judge. So I do periodic training for them in a bid to encourage my staff to reset their mindset to embrace the significance of integrity. I want them to know that integrity is a vital currency in the economy of human influence. I refuse gifts of all forms, tokens, or thanksgiving. I do refuse. In fact, it doesn't even get closer to me. And I make open announcements, especially when I see that the court is full. I make an announcement that this court does not accept bribes. So in case or perhaps you have given any money to anybody, please go and seek a refund. And I make such announcements. And I have consistently and continuously reiterated my values and principles at home, work, and even at church. As such, every court user or my staff in the court complex can attest to that. They can attest to what I stand for and uphold without any hesitancy. Additionally, I ensure effective legal process in my courtroom. I manage my courtroom such that cases are dealt with expeditiously. When I went to my post about 3 years ago, I encountered cases from the 1980s, 1990s, 2000s, which were yet to be heard. So I decided to give priority to those old cases, and by the grace of God, within 2 years, I cleared all the 1980s, all the 1990s, and the early 2000 cases. I was determined to go by the adage that justice must not only be done, but it must be seen to be done, and that justice delayed is justice denied. Here, integrity, as I have illustrated, acts in accordance with socially acceptable behavior such as honesty, compassion, trustworthiness, justice, and competence. So I agree with Barbara Killinger in her book, and it's a very good book. I recommend to all of you. And it says, doing the right thing for the right reason. When you look at page 12, it says that integrity is a personal choice, uncompromising and predictably consistent commitment to honor moral, ethical, spiritual, and artistic values and principles. So how can one develop integrity? From my experience, one can develop integrity and maintain it when one allows the Holy Spirit to bear fruit in him or her. Now, the values of integrity are gifts that are granted by God and God alone. When we make a firm commitment to obey and follow God's leading, He also grants us some gifts. So through reliance and reflection on His words, we become changed into His likeness. And out of us will flow the values and virtues of integrity. Likeness because we are created in the likeness and image of God. And God is a God of justice. He's a God that you can rely on. So we can also exhibit the same virtues. The second one, which is also very important, developing integrity, is to know exactly what you stand for. Know your values and what you truly value. Please, let's remember that your values define your character, and your character defines who you are. Integrity, I must say, is not a communicable disease that is transmitted from a mother to a child, or from a husband to a wife, or not even can it be handed over to somebody who has been acquitted and discharged in a law court. And integrity also can't be sold in the marketplace. In effect, those around you must be able to state what you stand for without hesitation. Now, the next one is also to know your standards. A professional must have a clear understanding of what his organization or clients or mates as a whole value. You must know what they perceive and what they expect of you. So you have to be competent at what you do. Men and women of integrity are those who are committed, hardworking, consistent, and competent. They are not the lazy ones who don't know next to nothing about what their company stands for. So acting with integrity is much more than satisfying the bare moral minimum. It involves acting in accordance with moral norms willingly, knowingly, and purposefully. Why? Because it should be out from your own volition. You shouldn't be under duress or coerced by anybody for you to be upright and be just. You have to stand for the truth on your own volition. And you should know from your own acquired knowledge of the Bible, of whatever skills you acquired through your training and education, that you intend and you have committed yourself to stand truth, to stand firm for the truth. Purposefully, as we all here and we are all Christians, we know where we are going. We are all pilgrims and we are heading towards heaven. And if that is your purpose, then you stand for the truth. And because one will have to be in command of his own actions. And that is why I said it should be willingly, knowingly, and purposefully. Now, I would like to conclude that professional integrity is fundamental to every institution, and the judiciary is not an exception. Those who value integrity reap the benefits thereof, which include respect, honor, and peace of mind. Now, public perception regarding the integrity of Ghana's judiciary does not inspire confidence. Now, this is because the judicial corruption is no longer a perception but a reality. Nonetheless, despite this rather damaging view of the judiciary, I have chosen to remain in this profession to let the world know that men and women of integrity still exist in the judiciary, and that Seventh-day Adventist professional judges can be numbered among those with integrity. The dividends of judges and all professionals with integrity in any nation are immense because our actions have ripple effects on all facets of our lives. I encourage you, everybody here and those online, if you are listening to me, to be a professional, a Christian professional of integrity. Now, before I leave this podium, I would like to end with two things. One is a quotation and one is a picture. First, let me share with you one of the favorite quotations from one of my favorite Christian writers. Now, she says that the greatest want of the world is the want of man and women, all emphasis mine, men and women who will not be bought or sold, men, women who in their inmost souls are true and honest, men and women who do not fear to call sin by its right name, men and women whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole, men and women who will stand for the right though the heavens fall. Would you be such a person? Now, the second one and the last thing I'm leaving is a picture a friend shared with me. Now, let's take a critical look at this picture. This is a picture of Bayern Munich soccer team. As you can see, may this picture speak to you as a Christian professional. Now, what you see is that there's one person here called Sadio Mane. He is a Muslim, and he refused to hold a beer in the group picture. So amidst all the corrupting influences, this footballer stood true to his beliefs and values, and he refused to hold a beer, just a mere beer. One will say that, why don't you hold it? You are not drinking it. but he refused to hold a beer in a group picture. Please ponder over this. I thank you for your kind attention.